He then took the wave of the sea and a man walking in different degrees. He drew a man walk, wasn't very good. He went, and you'd see a guy walking. Another Chinese carpenter took a dowel. He didn't like the flipping of the pages, and he cut slots in the dowel. He had done this for other purposes in the past. He made these dowels with slots in them, and he put all the pictures in the slots, so it looked like a paddle wheel. If you don't understand my drawing, it's a quick drawing of what the pictures were like in the slots. Got it? It looked like a paddle wheel. And if you turn the crank on top of it, you'd see a bird flying or whatever. But it wasn't very good. That is, it looked like a bird was flying. Sometimes it didn't. But if you put your finger there and interrupted it and let the picture pause for just a few seconds so the eye can pick it up, then it worked. So he then put a piece of bamboo there that interrupted the pictures. And that's in the Chinese museum. And if you turn the crank, you see a man walking, waves moving, or a guy pulling a push carriage, you know, with a person in it, the things of China. And the Frenchman saw that in the Chinese museum and machined it out of brass. Beautiful job. He turned the crank and he put more pictures in, photographs. And that was great. Edison saw that and bought it from the Frenchman. And Edison made a gadget that looked like a pencil sharpener, a big pencil sharpener. And it had a view thing built into the pencil that looked like a big pencil sharpener. Try to draw what it looked like. And it was called a Nickelodeon. You put a nickel in, turned the crank, and those pictures went by the paddle wheel. It looked like this with a viewer up here. You put a nickel in a slot. I don't know if any of you lived to see that. In the old days, they were around all over the place. Did anybody ever see these things?
Well, these have been just reproductions.
Yes, reproduction of it. All right. So no one sat down and invented a movie camera. It's so developed serially, so slowly, bit by bit, that you think, my God, what a wonderful mind. But we're in touch with universal knowledge that comes to the mind. That's where all this bullshit about telepathy and all that comes. And some scientists called New Frontiers of the Mind are trying to investigate telepathy. So I was at a psychological meeting once where they said, we're going to check out telepathy, see if it's real. I said, how do you know how to check it out? You'd have to read every gimmick used to manifest that. They said, well, you be in charge of that. I said, no, that isn't why I went there. I just want to tell them that they're not capable of checking it out. Like man, if he can't understand where all this comes from, he invents God. Somebody had to make it. It's like my kid saying, Daddy, what makes an airplane fly? Is it the propeller? I said, if the engine doesn't turn the propeller, it won't move. Is it the engine? No, if you don't put fuel in that engine, it won't operate. Is it the fuel? No, without oxygen, that fuel won't combust, or a spark plug. So he said, what makes it fly? He said, many interacting systems. Just like doctors years ago used to were looking for the cause of cancer. Like there's a cause. There's many interacting variables. So medicine does not equip to study cancer. You need doctors, biologists, physicists, and electrical engineers. The body is an electrical, chemical machine that operates according to certain laws. And the answer does not lie within medicine. So you don't even have doctors that know how to think about the subject. I try to talk to different groups. Having no credentials, I have a difficult. But now we're invited all over the world to speak at universities all over the world. I want you to know what's happening with the Venus Project. Magazines all over the world are doing articles. We got an inquiry from a magazine called The Irish Entrepreneur. And they said, would you do an article on the Venus Project? I said, let's see the magazine. The magazine's a business magazine, all about money. I said, you wouldn't like it? It criticizes the monetary system. They said, well, we'll run it anyway. I said, you promised not to change a word. They said they did, and they ran it, and they didn't change a word. It's redesigning the world, Irish Entrepreneur, a about over a year ago. And they ran it straight. And we got letters from the Weekly Reader. Do you know that children's magazine? It goes
Yeah.
the Weekly Reader. They said, would you do an article on the Venus Project for the level of children? You may get letters from 10 teachers. We got a letter from 1,000 children and teachers. They want to know what the Venus Project is more about. And they had kids making models of the Venus Project. Then the kids said, can we come and live out here in Venus? Fine. When you send us tickets, we want to come and live in that kind of system. It was amazing, the reaction we got. When we went to Turkey, they gave us an hour and a half, and they set up a Venus Project course. They printed our book in Turkish right away. Then they said, we'd like to build a Venus Project. That's before the collapse, the economic. They wanted to send the students from the universities out here to learn how to think about things. It never came off because the Depression hit, and things are very bad out there. But there are people out there trying to work out the problems. So I'm just telling you what's happening. All those magazines are from France, Germany, all over the world. Turkey on the Venus Project. Pictures of our project, what we want to do. No attitude against it. When we got to Turkey, CNN, all the broadcasting, I mean, spent long days with us shooting this discussion that I'm having with you. Without this discussion, without film, it's not possible. So, I mean, really, you can't get to most people without it. Is there anybody who didn't understand this? That no one invented anything? Anyway, what happened is somebody in the audience at Princeton said, how about Tesla? He had a fine mind and he made
How about what?
wireless
Nikola
communication.
Tesla.
Wireless communication without wires. Where did that come from? So I said to him, when I was a kid, don't forget I'm 93, when I was a kid there were stores called electrical stores, and you bought electrical wiring and stuff, those stores. But sometimes they rolled the wire on a cardboard cylinder. That's how they sold the wire. They rolled it on the cylinder, and they got the cylinders from the carpet company. Carpets come on a cardboard cylinder. And they rolled it on a cylinder because they don't want to push the wire in a bag, see. So they rolled it on a cylinder. Sometimes the wire was broken. So people connected two electrodes, two chip clamps to it, and a small battery and a galvanometer to see if the wire was broken. And if you happen to buy fine wire, they wrap it around a smaller unit. And the guy who packaged it shoved the small unit in the big unit. And when you tested the outside, it induced a current on the inside one, even though it wasn't connected. That's where Tesla got it from. He didn't sit down and say, gotta make a wireless. And then they tell you in school, they tell you that somebody invented the wheel. And that was the beginning of the technical age. That's another bullshit thing. I'm dealing with probability now. Probably a tree fell over another tree and a guy pulled it and it rolled. That's probably where it was suggested from. Does everybody doesn't understand what I'm saying? If a tree falls over another tree and you pull it, it rolls. But if there's a stone in the way, it'll stop the thing from rolling. So they shaved off the bark in the mid-region. And if you keep shaving off bark, you get two wheels on the end. That's what it happened. So, what is creativity? Creativity is taking known elements and putting them together in unique ways.
And isn't that what thinking is, though?
Yes.
And isn't that
Yes.
absolutely
Nothing
crucial
magic.
for our future?
Yes.
So these physical inventions come from observations, but scientific theory is creativity, it is new inventions,
Yes.
it is essential
Yes.
for this
Yes.
world going
That's
forward.
why our language is so old, it has to be updated and more scientific terminology. That's why semantics, the book, have you ever read much on it? Semantics is very useful to read books like Tyranny of Words, Mind in the Making, or
Linguistics, all of that. That's
Yeah.
yes.
which includes all of that. So,
Yes.
putting it another way,